Yeah. Good afternoon, Dr. Rashid, and welcome to this interview.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
It's an honor also to have you. Given your the past 3 days, you've been with us for the summit. You shared interesting spotlights on the role of the state and sports in legal matters, and if you could just give us a brief summary of this. For the purposes of our audience who couldn't join us.
Sure. Thank you, Philip, for this meeting, and thanks extended to those who arranged for the summit, starting from Sheikh Sultan Al-Nahyan, Hisham Al-Tahir, Adib, and all other people working, yourself also, working on that preparation. And I know for sure that preparation of such meetings to have 40 or more people from all over Asia is not an easy task. So I'm really grateful for that and thankful for your effort in that. Saying so, everything went as planned. Beautifully well done, and again thank you. I was asked to give a lecture in that meeting, and the first thing came to my mind from my own experience is that many people know about the law, hear about the law, but they don't know the specifics of the law. And then what's the relationship between sports federations, international federations, and states? We have two different conflicting interests of both. We have sovereignty on one hand, and we have autonomy on the other hand. Sovereignty of states and autonomy of the sports. So the international organizations of sports, they always try to set a balance that does not undermine sovereignty and at the same time does not jeopardize autonomy, and therefore they only allow sport federations within the state to rule themselves by themselves through their own constitutions. They enact constitutions, they choose whatever method to run their federations. States should not interfere into that, should not remove these bodies or install others, or they must respect the choice of sports people within the country. At the same time, they need to control also the funds they give to these sport organizations. So from that point of view also, sovereignty is protected here. At the same time also, states were given kind of unofficial promise that no actions against public policy of the state can be taken. So that's the balance which has been set over at least the past years recently, and therefore sport organizations, IOC, FIFA, they are so keen to respect this, and they have suspended many countries because of this intervention. Also, we have another rule that is regarding dopes. Doping is the worst and the most serious threat to the sports in the world, and there is an organization for that oversees that states respect.
Speaking of doping, unfortunately for us in our sports, we are fortunate enough not to have any doping incidences. But for the purposes of fair play and in fairness of sports, what do you make of athletes who try to dilute the performance of the game and hard work and the integrity of the sports?
In fact, doping is the anti sports ethics That's completely against the ethics of sports, and therefore WADA is the organization of doping, is very strict in these matters, and CAS also. From my own experience as an arbitrator in CAS, they take it very, very seriously, and they put rules. Sometimes a normal lawyer who's not in sports thinks these are very harsh rules, but as you said, these rules to protect integrity, and they can, by the way, they can go back for around 8 years to strip a person of his medal if after 8 years, for example, it occurs to them that guy had used dopes in his when he achieved this medal, and we have cases of that. The reasoning is that we cannot tolerate this behavior whatsoever on that matter. The good thing is that people are getting aware of it. Sports people are getting aware of it. For example, in the Asian Games, which was held in Turkmenistan in mid-September, we had, as an ad hoc arbitration cast there, one case came to our knowledge. And you've seen it there. Philip, you were there, and you've seen how many activities were there, hundreds almost a day, and you only have one case involving doping, which means that people are taking it seriously, and sportsmen are taken seriously, because the rules are harsh, and there is no 1% tolerance of that. I know a case, for example, the sports girl used medications under supervision of her doctor. In fact, the doctor who brought her the medicine, but then she was banned around 18 months or over, because it was her responsibility to be sure that these medicines do not have any forbidden substance within that medicine she's taking. So it's, even if the doctor says it's safe, it's her own responsibility to check, and you can easily go into the internet and you have the list of forbidden substances, and it's easily you can find out whether this substance is accepted or not. And she was a frequent medalist. She had 7 or 8 Olympic medalists. Medals, and she was prevented. And this is very, in last July, the case. So what I'm saying is that the rules are harsh, the implementation of these rules even harsher. So there's no tolerance. I'm sure ACF, that's the Asian Chess Federation, should give special attention to doping within the sports. Personally, I don't see how a chess player can use drugs unless, I don't know, but there got to be some way to use drugs that's forbidden substances. So that you need also, through your work, to enlighten federations, local federations, to the seriousness of that, and try to educate the kids to the danger of this on health and on competition itself. And the good thing about chess, it's a game that goes with the young from the beginning, so you can teach them when they are young, so when they grow up they know how serious that matter is.
Speaking of young people in chess, chess is recognized as sports in the Olympic, but it's yet to be officially recognized as a game at the Olympic. What do you think are some of the steps we can take as an international federation to push this agenda and make it see the light of day?
Well, as far as I know, IOC respects the choice of international federations in this, but also they have their own rules, and I assume that by further negotiations, by further development of the game itself within Asia, within other continents, and then with time, I'm sure time comes to allow it to be one of the games of the Olympics. Normally, IOC, what they do, they leave it for the continents to try to experiment over each game they want to apply in the future. So they leave it for you to do it in your. Then, if it's accepted, if it goes with the rules of IOC, then in the future they will have it as a game within their own. And I know that for sure that it's a recognized game in the Olympics of Asia and of Africa, as you also said. So this will help chess people to take it to IOC, if not in the next games, maybe in the games after. But according to my experience, I'm sure one day we will see chess game as one of the games of the Olympics.
And wrapping up with this interview, as a successful legal luminary, having practiced law over the last decade and over, many young Asian kids are watching this interview, and the youth are watching this interview. What message do you have for the young people who aspire to be successful legal luminaries like you?
Thank you, Philip. Well, in fact, I practiced law since 1980, so you can put it 40 years, 50 years, whatever. But the idea is that law is not only a profession, it's a way of life. So it creates and develops your own mentality and your own way of thinking. And we have a saying in the past, when there were revolutions in the area, we say all the time, those law students who are the people who lead these revolutions. And when I say I'm not speaking about destruction, I'm speaking about construction. Revolutions in the way of life, revolution on the way of politics, all kinds of revolutions. They are led normally by lawyers. And when you have, let's say, a lawyer on the top of any enterprise, then you are sure that this enterprise will move ahead steadily, because they respect the law and they do anything to have that law applied and should not be infringed upon. Now, I don't want also to push kids towards law, all of them, but what I'm saying is that whatever their ambitions are, they must work for it. There's nothing impossible at all for any person or anything in your life. When you have a goal and you work on that goal, eventually you will reach that goal. So put a goal to your life, work for that goal, work hard, and I promise you, life is not easy. You may face lots of hurdles, obstacles. People try to put you off. Maybe you find it difficult, but eventually, if you have the guts to do it, and if you are persistent, you will be there, and you will be on top of it all the time. I wish all of the kids a bright future, whether if they are chess players in chess, and if they don't want to choose chess as their profession and their future life, they are our hope. All the time, these kids are our hope in our life.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. So, what a beautiful and a successful interview with Dr. Rashid. And in the light of hope, we are hopeful, and we are also thankful to have such a beautiful and successful man with us. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.